And welcome to Politics 101. Good evening. It's a Tuesday evening, and it's, a, it's a new week for us here in Politics 101 because we start on Tuesdays and end on Thursdays. Of course, we rebroadcast on Channel 9 in Guyana. So sometimes I understand Channel 9 would carry the program live, but they do broadcast. So we want to thank Channel 9 for affording us the space to rebroadcast our program. We also want to thank you, the audience, for helping us to ensure that the program reaches a wider audience. Good evening. Good evening and welcome to Politics 101. As we said, it's a Tuesday evening and we're kicking off the new week. Of course, there's always lots to talk about. Guyanese politics, Caribbean politics. We, of course, spend most of our time talking about Guyanese politics. I want to thank all you supporters of the program, those of you who religiously are here on a regular basis, keeping the faith, ensuring that we do what we have to do, that we tackle the issues, and we contribute towards keeping our people informed and mobilized. How are you doing this week? How are you doing in Guyana? Out there on the quarantine, Springlands area, they going up that way, coming down to New Amsterdam. You know, how are you doing there on the quarantine coast? And New Amsterdam, of course, a very important part of our country. And then we come across the river, as we say, West Berbice, east coast of Demerara, Georgetown, our capital, East Bank of Demerara. Good people of Linden, good people of Linden, good evening. Good evening to all of you, and good evening to those of you who are joining us. Kerry is joining us from UK, England. Of course, UK, England, they're celebrating the life of the Queen, who passed away about a week ago, and all the ceremonies that the British are so famous for. We see it on display. The monarchy. Good evening. Good evening. Derek is joining us from St. Kitts Nevis. Of course, the CPL, the Caribbean Premier League cricket competition, has just left there. I think they're making a stop in St. Lucia right now. And then the final games would be in Guyana. At the Providence Stadium. Here's hoping that Guyana makes it to the Final Four. I'm not a big fan of a T20 cricket. I just think it waters down the science of the game, the imagination of the game. But, you know, one has to roll with the changes. So hope you had a good time there, Derek. The Amazon Warriors didn't do too well in the early games in St. Kitts. We're hoping that they do well. Desiree, of course, is joining us from Maryland, one of my homes, you know, Phoenix, Arizona, Maryland, metropolitan area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, Rockville, where she is. Lived there for quite a while. And of course, Guyana. How are you doing there? All of you joining us from Maryland, all my sisters and brothers and cousins, my mother, they're all in that area. Good evening to you. Good evening, Linda, coming to us from New Jersey. This evening, we are going to be tackling this subject of the PPP government. You know, they visited Mocha, Arcadia, one of our historic villages. Mocha's been really trying to deal with their own issues on their own, and Mr. President rolled in there, I think, on Sunday, and did what they all tried to do, and that is to behave as though they are masses. Went in there, and he went crazy as usual. Went crazy, you know. Basically said to the people of Mocha, look, we are not going to govern through the institutions. We are not going to be governing through your elected officials. We are going to be governing by coming directly to you, whatever that means. And we are going to try to put that in perspective here tonight. There was a clash, if you will, between him and the chairman of the Neighborhood Democratic Council, who made it very plain that these people are going into the communities and the elected officials are not being contacted. I see somebody has used the A word, apartheid. 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 They're making our case for us. So they went into Mocha there, and he got, as he usually does, he got hot-headed, you know, and made it very clear there's some issues that the people of Mocha and their representatives have, and we are going to be talking to MP Nima Flew-Best. She has been on our program a couple of times, so she's no stranger. She is responsible for the East Bank area, the APNU AFC, and she's going to give us a first-hand report on exactly what took place, and then the issues that they tried to raise, which the president tried to shut out. We are witnessing, as we have been saying over and over again, that this is a dictatorship. It is a dictatorship. And it's a dictatorship that is grounded in ethnic domination, which makes it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times worse, right? This is a government that is prepared to bypass the institutions, the quote unquote democratic institutions, and govern by diktat. You know, you go to Manripo and you say, here is some money for sugar cake. And you go to Mocha and say, here is some money for school ball field. And then the people of Mocha say, no, but we want X, Y. No, you can't get that. I understand from this encounter in Mocha that $4 million were allocated for the NDCs in Region 4, which are controlled by the PPP. And that the NDCs that are controlled by the opposition were not given the $4 million. And when confronted, the president confirmed that they didn't give the people of Mocha that $4 million. And then said to the people that you rather this or you rather that, Father Christmas. Well, I wouldn't even desecrate Father Christmas by making that comparison. I take that back. But it shows a method of governance. A method of governance that says it's a different approach to governance in some community than in other communities. We are documenting all of this because when we discuss those issues on shows like this, these are documents that are there. We are documenting it, not because we are complaining, because we stopped complaining a long time ago. We are documenting it because people commit crimes, political crimes, and then they ask you to provide the evidence. And the evidence is that when they do what they do, we talk about it in these programs. And of course, the Demerara Waves report I read said the president was given a warm welcome in Mocha. Well, I suppose the insinuation there is that, the people in Mocha welcome the president and think he's a nice guy. African Guyanese are manly people. We are manly people, sometimes too manly. The irony is that we are usually referred to as hooligans. We are far from hooligans. A leader comes into the community, we give him a welcome because we are manly people. And people sometimes misinterpret that manliness for political support. The PPP is not interested in development in our communities, in the Black communities, in the opposition communities. They are interested in just that. They come in, you smile with them, and they go away thinking that they have conquered you, they have captured you. They give you some trinkets, some little things they dangle at you, and they think that they have controlled you. They are controlling you. That's the game plan. Maybe there will come a time when we'll have to stop smiling. We'll have to stop smiling of lead. I believe it's a democratic right of all leaders. It's a constitutional right of all leaders to go wherever they want to go in the country. If the opposition people want to go in Indian Guyanese areas, they should be free to go. And if the PPP wants to go into African Guyanese communities, they should be free to go. I am firmly of that belief. But if you come into my community to make me a fool, then I will have to make it known that you make me a fool. We are fast approaching that time where we have to stop smiling with these people. We have to stop smiling with them because they're taking our smile to mean something else. Old people say, not all skin teeth are laugh. Not all skin teeth is laugh. But there comes a time when we'll have to stop skinning with teeth because people are taking it to mean something else. Welcome to Politics 101. It's a Tuesday. Please share the link. Good evening, Mr. White, all the way there in Grove on the East Bank. Welcome to Politics 101, loyal viewer of this program and other programs. Welcome, please share the link. MP Nima Flubes is going to be here in a couple of minutes. She's not spending the entire show with us, but we'll try to get her on as quickly as possible. I'm waiting on you to come into class and to ensure that there is an audience here for us, for her. So again, this bypass of going into the Black communities and trying to make our people's food something. They, of course, was the issue in Mocha about running the road there and passing through the road on people's property. We'll find out from the MP what is happening there with that and all the other issues that the people of Mocha are engaged in. We are going to take a quick short break, and then we will have the interview with MP Nima Flubes.
Mr. Watts, he is armed himself shots. Watch it, tear gas. Light rounds. Also, I can see that.
But since Mike wasn't there, no, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me.
Right? No, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me now.
You gotta listen to me too, man.
I am listening to
right?
you.
Now, I see you on the East Coast. The day when they get a protest of them, the next day, that's when you see one bigger earth come up to talk to my family. right? And that's bad. If we didn't do in a protest, that we want to see nobody for justice. You see? I'm not holding back nothing. I'm not holding back nothing. I just need justice for my family.
I got visitors all of a sudden. All of a sudden,
This is Joker. Who is that Joker? That piece of plum. They know who to deal with, you know.
And welcome back to Politics 101. We will keep those images fresh in your memories because they tell the story. They tell you of what these people are up to. And it's part of the exposure, but it's also part of the education of our people to say to them, and also the education of the supporters of the PPP, because they are by no means, all of them are by no means blind followers of the PPP. They are people who voted for the PPP because they think that that party represents their interests. Absolutely nothing is wrong with that. But you can vote for a party, you can support a party, but you do not have to support the backwardness, the racism, the discrimination, the squandering of our money. You don't have to support that. Bring in our guest for tonight, one of the hardest working members of Parliament, Honorable Nima Flube. Good evening, how are you?
Good evening, Dr. Hinds. Good evening to viewers. I'm blessed.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
I'm very happy to be on your show this evening. I know I would have said to you that I would spend about 50 minutes, but I'll have to 5 more minutes because of something that took place today and I want to address it.
Thank you very much. But let's get straight to the meat of the matter. Irfan Ali went into Mocha and held a meeting there on Sunday. Were you at the meeting?
Yes, I was at the meeting, but not in the auditorium, but I was around.
You were wrong. Tell us what happened. Tell us what happened.
All right. Before I tell you that, Dr. Hinds, I would like to give a background.
Sure.
And then I want to come to that. I want the viewers to know when the PPP government was put into office on August 2nd, the first thing they did to Mocha Arcade community in September, they came to the people at Cane View and told them they have to remove from the lands. Mind you, this land that these people were given to the cane farmers by Gaisuku for cattle rearing. So the occupants there were relatives and families of those said cane cutters. That's the first thing. The second thing the PPPC administration did to Mocha Arcade community, we had our market day, our first co-op market day in the village on December 20th, 2020. As soon as the market day was over, the very next week, the Ministry of Housing blocked the main drainage canal of this community that drains the farmland. And as a result of that, many of our farmers lost everything. So I would say our farmers lost billions of dollars after they blocked the drain. In May of 2021, Dr. Hinds and viewers, having destroyed all the farms, the government decides to play their heroes, right? And so the Minister of Housing came and said that he was going to bring relief for these farmers. And the Minister of Agriculture came and they were going to bring relief for the farmers. Remember now, they created the problem that the farmers suddenly encountered. And what was the relief? They came, the Minister of Housing took a photo up and said that they were going to remove the blockage, took out the photo. As soon as the residents and whoever was there left, they put back the blockage. So the farmers continued to struggle and you had rains. Added to that, the Minister of Agriculture came and he distributed some seeds, about 10 plants. Then they sent in a couple chicken, a couple duck. And I can tell you, as a sitting member of parliament, I pay interest in everything. All that they do. So when they would go over the river and give their farmers 100 chicken, they brought 10 chicken or so and gave each farmer in Moco to compensate for the billions of dollars that was lost due to them blocking the drainage canal. And if that's not enough, they came to this community and it blocked the CNC, another important canal, the Central Navigations Canal. And that now caused water to remain even long and cannot get off the land. So who's suffering? The said farmers of Mocha Arcadia community. The question I would ask, how is it that, according to Irfan, this $159 million that they're claiming to spend, or 190, how much million dollar that they're spending in Mocha Arcadia community, how much of that can compensate for the billions of dollars that the farmers of Mocha Arcadia community and the residents by extension would have suffered? When they came to share the flood relief, all the farmers weren't given monies. Most of the monies went to the persons who were deemed to be their supporters and a few farmers. And some of the large-scale farmers did not get the money. You know what criteria they use? They find out from the persons that was doing the distribution which of the farmers could afford to get themselves started. And they took off those farmers' names off the list. And so they now turn up like they're gods. So that is a background to what the PPPC administration, current administration, has done to Mocha Arcadia community. And when you check their news print, they talk about they're here to rescue poor drainage and all of that. It's under the coalition that our farmers could have returned to their lands because of the RAID project. And then you come after, and instead of improving the drainage system that was set there, you destroy it. And now you're swooping down as though you're gods. Who are they fooling? They're not fooling all the people in Mocha Arcadia community. They're fooling a few people. But that is the exact actions of this PPPC-led administration. And you would have mentioned that in your opening remarks. Now I can answer your question, Dr.
Yes, no, right. Good. The background is very important. Very important. Go right ahead.
Yes.
Yes, I was asking about Sunday. So what transpired there on Sunday?
Well, on Sunday, like I would have written in an article, I know that if you're the sitting president, there are certain things you would follow when you're visiting a community. One, we have local government and local governance in Guyana. So we have NDCs, we have chairmans, we have these persons that you would inform, if you got manners anyway, that you're coming to visit the community. I recall when our former President Granger came to Moco, a letter was sent to the NDC because I was the vice chair, so I know that firsthand. And I also know that the protocol officer came to ensure that all the logistics was in place for that official visit. But in this case, I saw a different scenario play out. A handpicked group of individuals were used to coordinate the visit of Irfan Ali and his team. And from the time they started to coordinate, they had issues. From the time they started to coordinate, they had issues. First, they didn't have any formal letter written to the chairman. And when he spoke, there was an issue with that. Secondly, for me personally, I was called to say they would like me to speak, but not as the member of parliament. I know what I'm supposed to do there. And so he came into the community well hyped up, because with all of this, the organizers told them that a member of parliament and the chairman was telling people in the community not to attend this meeting. And like I said last night, I don't know what benefit we would get from saying that. The people have to learn, observe, and pay attention to what's happening. And so I think he came all hyped up with lies, this is what is it and so. So when the chairman stood up to ask his questions, which was very pertinent and critical as the chairman of the community, because he's all hyped up. And then as we know, we have a sitting president that uses mouth before his brain. He did not wait to hear what the man is saying or try to comprehend, but it all came as a bomb waiting to explode. And so the madness took place on Sunday. And he started to hurl his insults. So that is a summary, a very short summary of how I see Sunday. I see it as a president who lacks comprehension with the use of words. And then he had a group of people, and was the embarrassing thing, Dr. Hinds? If you check those photos, you can count and see how many children were sitting in the audience, because they use the school children to form the welcoming party. They use the pathfinders to form the welcoming party, which involved children and youths. And all of those persons were sitting there, added with a few adults. Now, what example did he set for the children there? There's so much left to be desired. And so I would always say, and I will continue to say, I am very proud of our chairman, Mr. Rudolph Adams, for standing his ground and making his point. Very proud of that. And I can tell you confidently that our chairman of Mocha Arcade community is well educated and can speak. He can write. And then I see today, just before I came on, something was brought to my attention with Dharmlal again. I don't know why they don't name Dharmlal Minister of Lies. The chairman spoke about the $4 million, which was given to other NDCs for cleanup purposes, not subvention project. And I want everyone to know that subvention project monies are given to every NDC across this country. So this 5 million he mentioned this afternoon is the 5 million that every NDC would receive. That is budgeted for. The 4 million that is being spoken about by our chairman has to do with the cleanup that they were doing. Remember the countrywide cleanup that they had going on? Right. They designated $4 million to give to NDCs, but they decided, and shamefully, Ali said he didn't know, which I find strange. Shamefully, the only set of NDCs that did not receive this $4 million are the NDCs controlled by the coalition. The coalition won the area, if we want to use another word for control. Those are the only NDCs that did not receive the $4 million. What are you saying to us? That is definitely marginalization. That is purposeful and deliberate action by this PPPC administration that claims they're gods and they're doing for the people. I want to remind people, when they took the oath of office, it was to provide these services. All of that is a part of being a government. Infrastructure, health, social services, and all these things are a part of what is expected to be provided for by a government.
Nima, tell us about this issue where the president says that he's not going through the NDC, he's going directly to the people. Explain for us, from your perspective, what that means and what are the implications for democratic governance.
Right. Now, he's saying that this $4 million is being given to the people, or the people will be dealing with them, walking with them. I want to paraphrase his statement. Now, what he has done, and like all the other NDCs, because I'm on the East Bank and I traverse every community on the East Bank, and I'm aware of what is happening. And I want to encourage those persons who have their NDCs and feel that keeping the information inside is going to do you good. I cannot stand up. If I didn't know what's going on, I wasn't aware of what's happening in Mocha Arcadia, I couldn't sit here to speak. And likewise, the other communities, I cannot do that if they don't have the information, but I have a lot of information. Now, what they have been doing from the time they got into office, they formed these CDC groups. Mocha already had an existing CDC group, Community Development Council. And they form in every possible community, but the CDC groups are persons who are aligned to the PPPC administration. So in the case of Mocha, the CDC group, imagine the farmers on the land who had the CDC maintaining the drains and all of that. They got rid of them and put a group, their group, in charge of cleaning the drains and the canals and all of that. And of course, the work is substandard. And that is because they can control the money. Because if you check most of these CDCs at the farm, there's so much left to be desired for the persons that they put there. They don't know nothing about the community. They're not interested in their community. They're not interested in community development in any way. All they're interested in is that they get money. So those are the persons they're using to do the cleanup. I can tell you, when they had a cleanup campaign, obviously some pink bags appear, some people start cleaning, we know if they get paid, some women, and the thing is, you got to see the meager sum of money. When you talk about, you want to remind yourself of the practice of slavery and robbing people, check them same groups. So if they're going to pay a $5,000 a day regularly to a person working with them, the persons might get $2,500 a day, and they have to do all the work. And so that is what they're talking about when he said that they're giving the money to the people to walk side by side. The same CDC groups is where they're putting these monies and tell them to clean the community. And so again,
I want you to repeat that these CDCs have now, according to the president, because he said we're going directly to the people, the CDCs are now taking over from the NDCs, the elected officials.
Yes, that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Yes.
But again, I am really happy that we have a chairman who knows the right thing. You know, when I saw Darmlad's statement in the papers, I always recall, Mocha Arcadia chairman does not operate without a document. Everything that they say they want or they want to do, he asks them to send a letter, send a correspondence, because at the end of the day, like we see today with Darmlad trying to spin things with his words and what he's saying, documentation is what is going to prove that he's incorrect, he's not speaking the truth. And that is what I appreciate about our chairman, and that's what they don't appreciate about him. Because a good example, they took away the CIIP program from the Mocha Arcadia NDC because they decided, instead of having the fair process where people would apply for the positions and you have a leader elected from the applied position to lead the group, they wanted the leader to be their supporter. So they came, knock off the leader that they had at the time and tell the NDC that this is the leader, not a letter they didn't send, not a documentation they didn't send. And the chairman said, as long as he is there and they don't send a letter, he's not going to acknowledge the person. Eventually, they sent a letter. They're happy with that. You know what they did? Took away the CIIP program from Mocha Arcadia NDC control and took it to Horstelling Farm NDC. So Horstelling Farm NDC was controlling the CIIP workers of Mocha Arcadia NDC to clean the drains and stuff in Mocha. And if you come, Dr. Hinds, and walk around, you would want to know exactly what were they actually doing. Because the workers there, they're not taking guidance from the council, the elected body, that would know exactly where the help is needed, what needs to be done immediately to help the people of the community. Instead of, you take the program, dash it on another NDC, and all the people in the NDC probably just time, go weed this street, Go weed that street and they come, and that's it. And so that is what we're dealing with. Apartheid dictatorship system. Here we have perfect examples of that. Perfect examples. They do not wish to engage elected bodies, and they would have been doing that from the time they got in there, because if they wanted to have a fair process in sharing out the grants, the 25,000 that they were giving to households, the right avenue to use to do that would have been the NDCs, because the NDCs know how many households and families they have in their jurisdiction. But instead of that, they come, pick out the supporters from within the area to share this money. So a lot of people still got a pink slip waiting, and it's getting white.
MP, this information is very worrying, and I'm very glad you've come on and given us a first-hand account of exactly what is going on there, because this is really systematic, taking away the power from elected officials and giving it to a body that is not a statutory body, it's not a legal body, it's not a lawful body. So you are governing by diktat, you are governing by your cronies, you are doing bottom-house governance in a big country, but you're selective in the way you are doing these things. Obviously, you've singled out Mocha Arcada as one of the premier African Guyanese villages on the East Bank for a particular kind of treatment. What are people in the community saying about these developments?
Well, one, persons are aware that I'm getting a feedback. Are you getting feedback?
No, I am not getting a feedback. I'm hearing you quite clearly.
Okay. Persons are aware that the NDC manages the affairs of the community. Persons are aware that every year the government gives a subvention, like for this year, Mocha Arcada subvention is the development of the new burial ground site, which works are ongoing, and making of concrete drains in the community. When people have the subvention projects, they decide a year before what they will do when they get the money. Now, in the community, except for those who don't pay attention, yes, development is good. Development is necessary. Infrastructural development is necessary. The people are thankful that they get Burnham Boulevard done. But the people are also aware that their intentions are not pure. And that's why I lay out all the background to show that they're now running to say they're gods. But they've already damaged so many things in the community and now trying to come to see like if they're fixing it. We had no roads. We had no proper bridge or infrastructural development under the previous PPPC administration. Had it not been for the coalition, had it not been for the coalition government, Mocha Arcada would not have had those 2 roads. Mocha Arcada would not have had the bridges. The people at Barnwell would not have had potable water or anything had it not been for the coalition. And we cannot forget that. And as much as they're doing this in front, it's like I said, they come and they talk to you nice in your face, and then they talk and they're joking you in your back. The hand behind your back joking you. What they're doing also, Dr. Hinds and viewers, I actually traverse the outskirts of my village every week. And it's not only Mocha I do that for. All the communities on the East Bank I traverse. They have started to clear lands in our village without consulting with the relevant authorities. Mocha Arcada have enough young people to occupy our lands. All we ask them to do is to put infrastructural work to assist so that our young people can occupy, but they don't want to do that. They want to clear the lands and bring their people and put whoever they want, but we're not going to accept it. We're not going to accept it. I know a letter was written to them about it, for them to desist from working there, because this is our ancestral lands, and we will not sit idly by and allow them to invade our rightful place that our ancestors sweat for to ensure that we can have lands. I know there are persons in the community, in this community, who are with them because they probably make a deal, but they're few. And I'm confident our ancestors will be with us. They are with us. And we will have to fight them. And just like how they're marginalizing our community, I can give you a quick thing. Peters Hall had flood the other day. Nothing. They didn't go out there to help those people in Peters Hall and Providence. They carry a small bottle of bleach, some sanitizer, a small thing of soap powder to give the people. And imagine the cocoa broke away. That report was made way before the cocoa gave away. But they said that they had time. It wasn't priority. So when it gave away, all the water in the people place at 2 a.m. in the morning. I know it's a sad thing, Dr. Hinds. Oil is in that water. Oil is in that water. You're muted, Dr. Hinds.
Yes, I'm saying I'm aware of oil being in that water. I have friends and very close friends in Providence who I spoke to, and they told me oil in the water, and these people have not been compensated.
No, nothing has been done for them. I've seen fridge damaged, washing machine, different things for people. I visited the area, I walked the area, I see it. And I'm asking, what is going up to today? I communicated to the people. You're seeing growth, and I'm telling you what happens. You see these NDCs that are controlled by the PPPC administration on East Bank. They don't focus on the sections in their community where they perceive that a lot of coalition supporters live. They don't focus there. They don't hustle to clean. They hardly do anything for them. I recall one resident from Eccles calling to tell me the garbage truck don't go in their street and pick up garbage because that street is seen as a coalition street. I don't know if that issue is fixed yet, but I plan to check it out. A resident called me and tell me, she said, they don't, and she said she just decided to burn the garbage on the lawns as they can't come for the garbage.
There you go.
That is what people are dealing with. When you go down to Grove, you have Caneville. I visit that area. Grove look after certain section. Ask them how much attention they pay to Caneville. You know what they're doing now? Because they're clearing the lands at the back of Caneville. They now they're trying to pay some attention to those people. But all along, they paid no interest in those people. You go up Friendship, Prayer Caledonia, Good Success, NDC. Friendship is a part of their area. Certain sections of Friendship, they do no work. They're not paying any interest. And certain section of that NDC, all the works are being done. You go up farther to Suicide, NDC. Adams Road is like if Adams Road got a course for them. They got a culvert there to fix. It just needs to be fixed, a drain there and put over the right setting, and it will save a set of people from getting flood. Nothing to date. Nobody moving. It can cost, I am quite sure that project will even cost them $1 million. But that's not important to them because in their minds, that is how we people, because that's how this government operate. We people and them people. And so these are the things that we see constantly playing out. When you go up the highway, you got Kurukuri and NDC, certain sections they pay attention to. Another section, because they perceive to be coalition supporters, nobody cares. That's how I did the piece on Samville. Yeah. And I have more of them going to be doing this weekend to show persons exactly how this PPPC administration continues to marginalize areas where people are predominantly of African descent and those that are perceived to be coalition supporters. There is no equity in the distribution of the resources of this nation to our people. What we're seeing is the constant depletion of local governance for our people, disrespect for our people, and disregard for the rule of law in our country when it comes to service. And I still don't get it. Maybe I grew up with a different perspective or mindset, but I know that when you go and you take the oath of office, and I got to repeat it, you said that you will serve people without affection and ill will. And what we see display on Sunday is totally ill will. And you see, Dr. Hinds, why I had to call out Sonia at the parliament.
Yes.
You see the exact thing come back?
Come right back.
You see the exact thing come right back? The same disdain and disgust when she mentioned that they would have served the Booker and Linden and Buxton, like, you know, this is such a burdensome job. The same disdain we see again come in full light. And thank God for social media, because if it was a meeting where they had access to these things, people would not have believed. And then you see how gullible and foolish they are. You cut a piece of clip, you don't show the before, you just show what makes you think you look good. But when the people start seeing what took place before, you ask yourself, why was the outburst necessary? And like my colleague said, mental health is a serious issue in Guyana. And we don't see where we got to start from.
Yeah, you got to start from the top. Before I let you go, sister, two things I want you to touch on. Where are things at with the compensation for people whose lands were taken away to facilitate the highway?
Well, Dr. Hinds, some persons would have accepted that move to get taken to another location. And like I said, there's no amount of money that can replace family relationship and values, because those people would have depended on their grandparents, moms, and so to help take care of the children. And now you give them a lot away in a far another community. And so those persons now have added expense. There are some that have not removed because they have their cattle, they're still there. But I don't see the highway going there. I don't see the highway going there. But again, we're seeing marginalization, we're seeing dictatorship and apartheid being practiced on a particular set of people in this country. And we need to speak out. People need to speak out. You need to call them out. You know, some people say talk, talk, talk. Yes, you talk and you act too. So people can hear. They can't say they didn't know. They hear him before that this is what is happening and we need to do something about it.
And I want you to talk a little bit about the community market that you have there. It's been held once per month. Tell us a little bit about it and how can people, you know, get there when it's being held and so forth.
Well, Dr. Hinds, sadly to say, the community market, I can't recall the last time it was held. I can't remember the date right now. But again, with the challenges that farmers are continuing to encounter, with water on the lands. The other thing, they open up the lands and people come in and steal your stuff because they're opening the lands close to people's farm. So you are dealing with theft. You've been dealing with prolonged water on the land. For some farmers, they're able to gather in small quantity and you can still purchase. I can't say the market when will be the next market day, but what I can say to you, we have farmers who can contact me, and if you're interested in having your eggs, I can give you their numbers and you can call, and those who have products, you come in and you collect it from them and do your business. So that's what I'm saying so far for the market, but I know there's still ongoing work so where people are making their products and you shop. I can proudly say that as a resident of Mocha Arcadia community, I'm very proud to be a resident here because I can eat here. It's a self-sufficient community where I can get my eggs, my chickens, my fruits, my vegetables, and able to prepare for my family daily. So that's the market.
Sister Nima, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Beyond the amount of time that you said you would have been on, but of course, as you know, when you're an activist, there is so much to cover. And it's clear, as people in the viewing audience here are saying, that as a member of parliament, you get around because you've been able to give us a sense of what's happening there on the East Bank. And importantly, you know your community very well. I have to say that I'm an old timer. I believe that members of parliament should be activists. You should not only go to parliament to do the ceremonial thing. The most important aspect of your parliamentary work is grounding with your people, knowing what's happening in your community, knowing what's happening in your constituency. And I think you're an example for young people who are getting into parliamentary politics, that you're an activist parliamentarian. And I really salute you for that. Any closing remarks for us?
Yes, okay. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Hinds, for your warm words and of encouragement. I would like people to know I'm motivated by you, and what you would say and how you would call and encourage. I would like to say to our viewers and persons in community, we're all activists. We all have a role to play in the development of our community. We all have a role to play in paying attention to what this administration is doing to our people. Don't be fooled. Do not be fooled. Pay attention to what they're doing, and then you will be able to protect yourselves and your community. But stay strong, stay blessed, and let us continue to fight for the rights and the good cause of our people. I thank you so much.
And thank you so much for coming on to us tonight. And of course, I'll be calling on you from time to time and continue to do the tremendous work that you're doing there on the East Bank. Thanks again on behalf of the Politics 101 family.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Sister Nima Flubes, the Member of Parliament for the East Bank, giving us an update there. You know, that man who calls himself president goes there and just makes himself look so small. I mean, you know, people are saying, you know, Irfan is all over the place and he will make a difference and so on. He's making a difference, but in a negative way. In a negative way. The man goes to a community, he reinforces the division and rule, divide and rule concept. He goes there, he talks down to people. That man is carrying this country to the edge. He's taking this country to the edge. It is very clear, as I've argued on this program over and over and over again. The PPP may look crazy, but there's a method to their madness. They're very clear ideologically where they stand. They're very clear on the whole issue of racial domination. And that is why they don't want us to discuss this issue of apartheid, because they know that they've been carrying out apartheid under the radar for the last 2 years, and probably before they came back to office or were put back to office. And so they're scared to death whenever we talk about the racial issue. They know that African Guyanese leaders don't like to talk about race, not because they don't have views on it, but they don't like to talk about it because they think it's not politically correct. And I understand that. All of us can't do things the same way. I think it's perfectly politically correct to discuss race and racial discrimination because our society is a racialized society. It is not just me saying that. You read books written on Guyana from as far back as the 1950s, and it talks about the racial challenges in our country. The PPP, since it has come back to office, it has pushed that button. And it is assuming that people are not going to push back. They're operating on that assumption. Well, we've gotten used to them. We've gotten used to them. They say that what people like myself do is that we incite people. And I think that is so insultive of our people. So insultive of our people. So they don't incite their people, but our people need to be incited to take a stand. But I know from my study of history that nobody incited our people, African Guyanese, to stand up against slavery and to overcome slavery and defeat slavery. Nobody incited them. They incited themselves, meaning that they looked at their surroundings as human beings, made rational decisions about what to do, when, where, and how. And that's what people are doing today. All that voices like mine can do is to stand in your ranks, stand in your ranks. I don't believe in leaderism. I believe in a leadership style where you stand in the ranks of the people, not ahead of people. And so we have to confront these people, and we have to do so decisively. Decisively. We are already doing it, but we will always have to think about moving to the next level. You know, the other night I saw young Elson Lowe, young man, bright young man. He was on this program last week, and he went on the Gildari Freddie Kissoon show. And Freddie Kissoon is trying to make the young man, wanted to talk to the young man to justify Freddie's political agenda. And that young man stood up to him. I'm so proud of him. He stood up to him. And the young man began to talk about Sarah. And they have an agenda against Sarah. And the young man was giving him facts. I made the decision that I'm going to bring back Elson Lowe on my program. On my program. And I'm going to talk to him about the research he did at Sarah. And show Freddie how you do an interview. You don't go when young people are coming through and young people are beginning to make their mark. You want to attack them with your stale political agenda. Sometimes you have to allow young people to find a mark, and we need to help them. Freddie has now found new masters, and he comes to everyone. When you see people go on that show, that man is quiet like a lamb. If you see how he fawns them, and these are some people who he hated their guts a couple of years ago. And now he hugs them up. And as soon as APNU, AFC, or opposition people go on, he wants to attack them. He wants to attack them. And Ganesh Mahai Paul put him to his place. And this young man, in his own little quiet way, put him to his place. When you are in the presence of bright young people and you are mature, you want to help them, not attack them as Freddie Kissoon is doing. You don't have to like somebody politics. I have people on this show who belong to all political parties. I don't agree always with their politics, but that's not my business here. When I want to espouse my politics, I speak as I'm doing now. When I bring my guests on here, it's not for them to reflect my politics. It's for me to hear from them and to help them grow and to help them broaden their own praxis, not to attack young people. But there, that chap is, sits there and wants to go after any APNU, AFC people that went on to go on that program. And the people go on. He's talking them up and how they were his wonderful students and so on. Freddie ought to be ashamed of himself. As I said, I don't care if Freddie switched party. He switched from WPA to AFC. And if he switched out from AFC to PPP, that's his business. That's his right. But your right is not to attack people because they express different views to you. No. You have taken 5 months of quote unquote rigging, and that's your Bible. People's children are killed, and that's not your Bible, Freddie. People's children are killed by the police, and that's not your Bible. Your Bible is some attempted rigging. Some attempted rigging. No. every day. Today he went after Alyssa Trotz, Professor Alyssa Trotz, a brilliant Guyanese scholar, a very bright woman. Alyssa doesn't share my politics, a lot of my politics, but that is besides the point. She's making an important contribution as a scholar. She's an activist in the women's group Red Thread. And he hears that maybe she's in the running for the Walter Rodney chair at UT. And he's saying she should not get the chair because she didn't condemn his Bible, his 5 months Bible. Your 5-month Bible is your business. Go recruit people to support you. There are other things that people are working on. And then the woman should not get the chair because she's not a historian. Well, Walter Rodney was a historian. His work was grounded in history. But he did history and politics. He did history and economics. He did history and sociology. And you are saying somebody has to be a historian before they can sit in that chair. Who the hell you think you are, Freddie? That you think that you can tell people what they must do, how they must do, who they must support, and you must have the right to support who you want without anybody telling you anything. This attack on people, you must stop it. Attack issues. Attack issues. Tell us about apartheid that you wrote about 10 years ago. Tell us whether it's still existing now. Go back and read your own book. And let's talk about issues, not gossip about people. Always somebody, some person. Deal with issues. That's what is important. And as I said, that Alyssa Trotz is well qualified. If anybody is qualified to hold that chair at the University of Guyana, she is. And UG would benefit from her participating at that university. Get off the people's back. Start talking about issues. And so we have to take these people on, take their mouthpieces on. GCOM, they're beginning to prepare to rig the next election at GCOM. They're laying the groundwork for it. Rigging, as we know, starts with the voters list. And if you study voters lists across the Caribbean and across the world, governments do everything in their power to ensure the list is clean. The government of this country is doing everything in its power to ensure that the list remains nasty. We have got to confront that kind of obscenity. We have got to confront that kind of obscenity. We must not allow them to rig the election as they did in 2020. Now, my position on the 2020 election is clear. I don't know who won the election. I have never said the coalition won the election. And I've never said the PPP won the election. My view is that the elections were so tainted, so disputed, to name a winner is a travesty of justice. And the 2020 election was a travesty of natural justice. And it has left half of the population exposed. All the advantages they're taking on Black people today is as a result of what happened in 2020. They conspired. External and internal forces conspired to take the government and give it to a suspect contestant. And in giving the government, they have given Guyana's patrimony. They have given Guyana's wealth to a set of people who were already corrupt, but who in the last 2 years have been corrupted exponentially so. Power corrupts absolutely. Especially when you give people who are undeserving of that power. There is a relationship between what happened in 2020 and what is happening to the opposition supporters today. Our country, Guyana, has been taken away from our hands. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be discussing apartheid. I found an editorial by the Kaichor News. Kaichor News wrote an editorial a year ago saying Guyana is an apartheid state. I want to share with Freddie Kissoon first. Kaichor News did an editorial. An editorial is the view of the paper that Guyana is an apartheid state. That white people, because of oil, are in Guyana and that white people presence, which means they are living a certain life, and the rest of brown and Black people living a different life. Hence, Guyana is an apartheid state. I told you say so. You didn't hear Nandlal write anything in the paper and say, oh, Guyana law. You didn't hear anybody ask Kaichor News to prove that Guyana is an apartheid state. What that has shown is that some people can say things and other people can't say things. The minute a Black organization said there is apartheid between Black and brown people in Guyana, all hell broke loose. Black people have no right to critique the state of Guyana. But the Kaichor News, which is an Indian Guyanese owned paper, says that there is apartheid state in Guyana. That white people live one way, they have certain benefits, and Black and brown people don't have the same benefits. Kaichor News. Every now and again, people like myself do some research. And over the past week, because I have not written anything on this apartheid yet, and I'm beginning to write something, and as we academics do, you do your research first. You gather everything that's been written, and there is it, this thing jumped out in front of me. Double standards, and that is the apartheid itself. That Lenard's paper can say that there is an apartheid state in Guyana, nobody goes after him, he's not threatened with incitement, he's not called all kinds of names, the law book is not thrown at him. But the minute A black organization said they begin to audit the apology. Nobody an audit. Kaitor News for saying Guyana is an apartheid state. You audit apology. Black people can't talk in this country. David Hinds and them calling Guyana apartheid state because they want to prepare the place of war. That's what they're saying. And Lal called Guyana an apartheid state. His paper. Glenn's paper. And God bless Glenn because he's doing good work on oil and gas. So this is not an attack on Glenn. I'm just making the point that different strokes for different folks. So Glenn's paper can say that there is a black-white apartheid in Guyana and nobody threatened him. Nobody pull out the law book for me. And as soon as we black people say it, they pull out law book, they pull out this, my friend Ralph from Quran, and all of them. Let us read newspaper, they would have seen that editorial. But they ignored it. What is good in Guyana for the goose is not good for the gander. So there we are, sisters and brothers. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. We gotta stop what happened at GCOM. GCOM, the PPP must not be allowed to use GCOM to begin to rig another election. Clean voters list, line in the sand. But we want more than a clean voters list. We want a clean electoral architecture. They're trying to make us look as though we're attacking Indo-Guyanese. Attacking Indo-Guyanese. We're attacking the government that Indo-Guyanese vote for. As I said, I respect the right of Indian Guyanese to vote for the PPP if they feel the PPP looks after their interests. But when the PPP is using your vote to put guns in the police hand, to shoot young black men in their beds on the road, to kill young black men like the Henrys, and something is wrong with that, you've got to speak up. If the PPP is using your vote to starve African Guyanese of vital resources, then you've got to speak out. You've got to stand up. Our fight is not a fight against Indian Guyanese. When we win, Indian Guyanese win too. So, sisters and brothers, we got more work to do. We're doing a lot of work, but we got more work to do. Expose these people, bring it out. Come on to programs like these. You go into Moko Arcadia, and you are trying to talk to black people anyhow. What do you know of Moko? Who only Moko know? And those few people in our communities who feel that they're getting some little handouts, y'all gotta stop it. Take your handout, but don't sell your mother. Don't sell your grandmother for your little handout. Black people, We got to bring them back down to earth. I don't mind you all think tech are your thing. That's your business. But don't sell your community down the drain for a couple of pieces of silver. And that's what some people are attempting to do. And so our struggle has to be a struggle against those forces. Also, the enablers, the soup drinkers, the liquors. When you lick too much A, you become an A yourself. You become a jackass. When you lick too much jackass. And we have to stop that kind of culture because we don't want to develop in our community a generation of jackasses. We have come too far for that. So we got work to do. We got work to do. Thanks to the young lady who came on tonight and give us a sense of what's happening on the East Bank. And my view is very clear. You go to Mocha and you focus on Mocha, we're going to focus on Mocha too. We're going to focus on Mocha too. We got more legitimacy in Mocha Arcadia than you. Irfan and whoever else. I would dare not think about going to Port Parant and talk to East Indians anyhow. It wouldn't even occur to me. But the fact that you all think you all can go and talk to black people anyhow is what the apartheid is about, apartheid of the mind. So, tomorrow night, we come back and we continue the discussion. We have a few guests who's gonna come on tomorrow night and we're gonna take it from there. But let's be vigilant. Let's be vigilant. And let's be militant. Let's be militant. And don't be afraid that if you're being militant, people are going to say you're spreading violence. Violence comes from the state. Violence comes from those who have the institutions of violence at their disposal. They got police, they got army, they got underworld gangs. We don't have none of those. Don't put violence at my doorstep. All I have are my books. And I read them often, and I understand what's in those books. And I turn the contents of those books into sharp political tools. Martin Carter talks. He says, this I've learned, today expect tomorrow hero monster you're consumed. And in another poem, he said, I shall not still my voice. I shall not still my voice. I have too much to claim. I have read from books, dear friends, of men who lived in a room without any light. Of men who could not die since death was far too poor. So if you see me listening when you speak, or marching in your ranks, know that I do not sleep to dream, but I dream to change the world. And Guyana is my first step into the world. Our first step into the world. We can change it. Come what may. The PPP has to go. Every day they're proving that. This is not about asking them to do better. Stop that. They will never do better. They're on a course that it will take them. And when they're going, they want to take our necks with them. And we have survived the onslaught of centuries of bondage, not to put our necks on a block, but people to carry it away. I make no apologies, absolutely no apologies. And you, our people, should make no apologies for standing up erect. And say, you're not taking us down the river. You're not taking us down your dirty river. $1.1 billion you're getting from oil. 1.1 billion US dollars you're getting from oil. And you want to spend it on your little excursions. You want to exclude half the population from it. And we gotta stop you. We gotta stop you. I ain't afraid to call the word revolution. Revolution means fundamental change. Radical means to get to the root. I'm not afraid, and we ought not to be afraid of those bold terms. The revolution against corruption, revolution against those who disobey the rule of law, revolution against those who hide and rig elections, point to other people and say they're riggers. It's a revolution of justice over injustice. It's a revolution for all of Guyana, so that all of us who tenant that place, all of us who tenant that 83,000 square miles, shall live side by side, but live equitably. So until tomorrow night, thank you for staying the course with us. And let's continue to stand behind those who lead us. Miss Blue, Miss Nima, Flu, Bess, Miss Bess, an activist parliamentarian. She graced her tonight. Good night. And I will see you all tomorrow when we're going to talk more about that Shore News editorial that says Guyana is an apartheid state. Nami says so. Shore News say that. So until tomorrow night.